Hi everyone, it's Nicole Wilkins with FitnessRx for Women, and this is my next question and answer segment where I took your questions from Facebook and I'm going to answer them for you today. The first question I have is, when carb cycling, how do you know how many calories, macros, to consume on both high and low days? There are so many different calculators. Some say 1400, others say 1800 calories. Quite the difference. Honestly, I think carb cycling is, and macro counting in general, is definitely a trial and error type of a thing. You have a lot of BMR calculators and total daily energy expenditure calculators, and if it fits your macro calculators and all this stuff that can give you a base number, but it's going to really vary a lot on how hard you train, how much muscle you already have, how tall you are, how much body fat you have, how often you train throughout the week. Like, all those factors play a huge role, and the only way to really depend on or to determine what numbers you're supposed to be at is if you follow a set program for a duration of time and see how your body reacts to it. And as you go throughout your entire journey, you're going to have to continue making adjustments to that number. I would recommend sticking with just a solid nutrition plan, keeping your calories consistent until you can figure out at what point you are comfortable and you're not gaining weight too fast or losing weight too fast. Your strength and energy is good, you're sleeping well at night, you're recovering good from your workouts, and then at that point, try implementing carb cycling. If you're not even sure what your base calories should be at, I wouldn't recommend doing carb cycling yet, because that's a little bit more of an advanced type of meal plan program. And if you're still not sure at all, that's when I would recommend hiring a personal trainer to help you out, or a nutritionist. The next question I have is, I weigh 107. My workouts are in water. How much weight should be my goal weight for lifting? I'm ready to move up from my 15-pound kettlebell. I love your strength, and I don't want to be bony Maroney. Thanks for inspiring me to exercise. Well, I don't want you to be bony Maroney either. And at first, when I read this, I thought all your workouts are in water. But now that I'm understanding what you mean, your workouts are not doing very well right now. So how much weight you should be lifting, I always gauge my weight by how many reps I can get out of a set. So if let's say I'm doing shoulder presses and I pick 40-pound dumbbells, and I can get 15 pretty solid. In fact, I can get 17 to 20 maybe even. The next set, I need to increase the weight. So I'm going to increase it to 45. And then I can get 12, maybe 15. The next set, I'm going to increase that to 50. Maybe I only get 10. I try upping it to 55 and I only get 8. At that point, I would not be able to go any higher. I like to keep my rep ranges between 8 and 15. It's a pretty wide range, but I feel like that's the most, that rep range is going to be the best rep range for you to gain muscle. And I'm not looking to power lift, I'm not looking to max lift, so that is what will help increase muscle mass and gain strength. So if you can get 15 easy with a particular weight that you're using, up the weight the next set. If you're not struggling in the last 3 to 5 repetitions, up the weight. But make sure that you're lifting a heavy enough weight where you can get at least 8 to 10 repetitions. And that's a good gauge. The next question I have is, from my understanding, in order to lose fat, one needs to have a caloric deficit and use stored fats and stick with plant-based, unprocessed, non-starchy carbs. My question stems around how much of a deficit do you recommend if a person is trying to build muscle while also losing fat? Yes, you're right. In order to lose body fat, you want to be at a calorie deficit. And that can either come from decreasing your calories from food or increasing your exercise so that your total daily caloric intake is lower. than what your maintenance is. However, if you're trying to build muscle, your calories are typically higher than your maintenance. If you're trying to lose body fat, your calories are typically lower than maintenance. So a lot of times there are two separate programs. It's really hard and takes a lot longer for you to build muscle and decrease body fat if you are kind of in the middle there. And again, a lot depends too on how much muscle you already have, how much weight training experience you have. Like if you're just starting out with a weight training program and you're at a calorie deficit, you're going to gain some muscle because you don't really have a whole lot to start with. But if you're an advanced lifter, you've been weight training for a while, you have good muscle, and you're looking to build even more, if you're at a calorie deficit, it's going to be much harder for you to do that. So just keep that in mind. And the last question I have is, I have a question about figure competing and birth control. I am training for my second show and not getting the results I did last time. I'm not able to drop my body fat at a steady rate, and the only new thing I have added was the pill. Is this normal, and do others stop the pill during prep? If so, how many weeks out? I would love overall all thoughts on how you feel birth control can or cannot affect one's prep. I don't really know enough. I think these are questions that you need to ask your doctor, but this is what I would recommend. I would recommend, if you're deciding to do a figure competition, not to start a new birth control pill before your prep, or stop taking it in the middle of your prep, because your hormones are going to be imbalanced and it takes months for that to regulate itself out, and that can absolutely affect your conditioning when you're on stage. I do know a lot of competitors who do compete with birth control and can get lean enough. I also know some who don't go on the pill because that in their past they have found that it makes them harder to get lean enough. So I think it really varies on the type that you're on and your body type and genetics. So I'm not going to tell you to take it or not to take it. That's something between you and your doctor, but I don't really know enough about it to give you a solid answer. Sorry. Alright guys, so those are my questions for this week. Until next week, keep asking your questions on the FitnessRx for Women Facebook page, and I'll be back here every Friday to answer them for you. Until then, keep living the fit life.